It's probably about 5 to 6 degrees cooler up here. We're about 1,200 feet in what they call the mountains. Not really a mountain, but it is definitely a big hill. Some really good sized pine trees. So definitely big enough to build cabins with. Hey everybody, I thought I'd jump in here and just kind of explain what's going on while we kind of run down the mountain. So we went and looked at a property, and the property was very nice. I didn't film a whole lot just because getting there kind of ruined it. It's a 9 mile up the mountain road through timber company owned land, and so it was real rough without four-wheel drive or a high clearance vehicle. There's just no way you could get up the road, and the 9 miles took us nearly an hour. And so by the time we got there, I was a little disappointed, but then once I got there, I mean, the property is just exactly what I'm looking for. Medium to large size pine trees, really pretty rock formations, all year round, clear water, spring fed creek. Just had a cabin on it already. It needed a little bit of work, but that's not an issue. It had an outhouse, honestly, everything that we need. So that didn't work out. So here we are, we're on our way to another property. And this road is much better. It's still a little rough, but it took us maybe 20 minutes to get to the property. And it wasn't nearly as high as the other property. And I do talk about this as we tour the actual land. All right, so this is property number 2. It's 42.8, like 42.9 acres, almost 43. We're gonna kind of walk it and just see what we see. This isn't necessarily up in the mountains. The trees are definitely smaller, but it's a pretty good price. I think we found a fungus of some sort. Fungus among us. Realtor said we could just kind of scope this out ourselves. To be careful, they do have venomous snakes here. Not crazy hot, but real thick through here. I see some rock over here. So the road to get to this is it's a rough road, but it's not nearly as bad as the last one. But I like the property of the last one. This one is definitely a lot flatter. Oh, look at that. Crazy. Did you see it? It was a fawn. She was just laying there. Wow, we're all over there talking and stuff. All right, so that was cool. And this property doesn't have a creek running through it, but it has 2 springs that the owner said would make good ponds. So it takes some development. Not quite what I was looking for. I want big pine trees, fir trees, because I like to have the option of building a cabin. So we might go back to the road. She said there was a couple more signs down there. This gives us an idea of what this property consists of. And this neck of the woods is rocky soil, that's for sure. Cut through here. So there's kind of a makeshift road that comes up to the property and kind of keeps going. We're going to make our way back there. Oh, there is a creek over here, love. That's cool. I thought it was the road, but it's a small creek, but it's definitely rocky. This could be a seasonal creek too. So it's running. Bunch of moss there. That's cool. Oh, it's nice and cold. All right, so we actually have permission to be on this property. So we've only looked at 2 properties, but both properties have had pretty rough roads to get to the properties. This one not as rough as the last one. The last one you could not get in there with a normal car. This one you could. You just have to be mindful of kind of the rock protrusions. Okay, so she says this road goes up quite a ways. There's some signs that talk about springs and whatnot. But these pine trees are very small. And it doesn't look like it's been logged or anything. So maybe it just doesn't get the same amount of rain as the last place. Last place had some good sized pine trees you could use to make a cabin. Pretty good sized oak trees in here though, that's for sure. Those are white oak too. And I am looking at property kind of off the beaten path. Sure, there's stuff that's straight off the hardballs and stuff like that, but that's not what I want. So I knew there would be some rough roads. The last one was just, I mean, it took almost an hour to get to the property, and it was only 9 miles. This area is just untouched. Hasn't been commercialized. I haven't seen a McDonald's or a Walmart for quite some time. Okay, so here's another sign that she was talking about. So there's a spring somewhere, and I bet we just crossed it. So if that's a spring-fed creek, that's good. Okay, now we're getting to some bigger pines. And that road we came up on has a legal easement to this property. She was kind of telling us some other properties they have listed. They're fighting to get an easement. It's going to be like months and months, $15,000. So I don't want to deal with that. It's nice that this has a legal easement. This is cool through here. I definitely like this. Still kind of small trees. There's another sign. So it looks like this owner's really just trying to point out what this property has. And you can kind of see the grass is getting thicker, more sunlight, and maybe more water. Let's see what it says. Oh yeah, there it is right there. So I'll get you closer. So this says spring here, good place for a pond. And I see it from here. So I'm not sure what wildlife they have here, so I'm just looking out for snakes and badgers and anything that can do some damage. Oh yeah, they have bear, but I'm not worried about bear. I'm pretty fast. Okay, so yeah, here's the spring. Yeah, that's a good spring. It's nice and wet, still flowing. Lot of work to be done if you wanted to clear out. There might be a clearing up there because we would definitely be off grid, so I'd need some clearing for solar panels. Maybe if we go back, let's follow that grass line up. So it's a little soft through here, but it's not muddy. Not really sure there's any mud on this property or in this neck of the woods. It's real rocky. Wow, that is a big spring. It looks like it really starts coming out of the ground right here. And that's probably what feeding that little creek we walked across. It's not as cool on this property either. It's still pretty warm and there's not much of a breeze. Okay, so on kind of like a trail. Looks like it might have been cleared a little bit, or maybe it's a game trail, but it kind of just goes up into this property. So I figured I'd maybe just turn it on in case we saw some wildlife. The dozer's getting closer, and my wife's getting tired, so then we're just gonna call it, turn around. Not sure this is gonna be for us. It would take a tremendous amount of work. I guess it just depends on how much you need. I would need to clear some for solar, for a cabin. There's not a whole lot of openings. These trees are so thick that I think they're being stunted. Because where there are like some bigger trees, there's not as many small trees. Especially around the big oaks. The big oaks are just choking out stuff. So I think we're gonna probably pass on this property. And I understand this is pretty much just kind of a me thing. It's not for everybody. Just telling my wife, and reading this book right now, and it's kind of making me understand why I am the way I am. You know, some people call me a gypsy or Sigma or whatever, but every 3 to 5 years I always get this itch. Like I want something new experience, just different, something different, live life. But okay, we're gonna call it a day. Bye.